Greetings, everyone. I have felt inspired by this to do a doodle. This is a Lego sorting hat from the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Now, amongst the sort of things that I might have in my collection, there are these. Now, these are not exactly from my childhood, but I've read these in my childhood. And I'm probably amongst the few people that I know that have, owned and have read this particular book. Like most people, they would have seen, look at that, that ring light actually kind of lights up the Alvin around that. Anyway, saw the movies that came out quite some time ago, and it is interesting. I mean, I also have this, and this is amongst the, for this particular one, it is one of the early editions of this particular version of this book, and it's pretty cool. So that is what's inspired me to do today's doodle. And yeah, let's see where we can go with this. Now, I will admit this much. The quick doodle that I'm going to do is of a character that is probably one of my least favorite overall. Now I'm going to zoom in on this first and see what we can do. We'll see if we can lock it down just a little bit. And there's a lot of reasons why I don't really like this character very much. And it could be, well, I think he finds human beings to be kind of a nuisance. And I think he knows quite a bit about the character of men. And when you're introduced to him, you assume that he's just this old, kind of grumpy dude who a lot of people will listen to, but you don't really know much about him. Now, for those of you who don't know, this character is not actually a man. In fact, he's kind of like an angelic being of sorts. And he's not really, well, he's immortal. His body can be hurt and his body could die. But yeah, no, he's a powerful being. Now, why don't I like him? Well, I think it has more to do with how he involves himself. And he doesn't really, I don't know, it's sort of like Glinda from Oz. I'm just not impressed with the overall way he deals with people. Anyway, just a bit of rambling, I suppose. But when you know something, you think you'd be a little more forthcoming about it. Now, in the movies, he's played by a phenomenal actor in Sir Ian McKellen, Magneto. But he's also a character that I think he doesn't mind putting people at risk for the big picture, which is another thing that I don't really like about him. One of the characters, or the characters that he chooses to bear the ring, he knows that they're small, and that's what he likes about them, for their usefulness for what is going on, is because people don't really notice them. And I think that's kind of, in some ways, sinister. But maybe it's smart too, right? Strategy. Anyway, I am talking about Gandalf the Grey. Later, Gandalf the White. And he belongs to a race of beings that are not men. And I think he's also aware of, as I said, the nature of certain beings. And man, because of their short lifespans, can be impulsive. Although at this point in Middle Earth, they do live a long time. Let's see what I got going on here with this. Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't really remember what the name of his being, or the beings that he is. It starts with an M. He's not one of the Valar, or Valar. It's like the Mayor, or Meyer. Anyway, I probably should have researched that before I started rambling on about it. It's been a while since I've read this stuff. But yeah. So, like, if you wanted to be sort of picky about some of these characters, Saruman and Gandalf, and even Sauron, the ultimate bad guy in the stories, they're all the same kind of creature. Or being, I suppose. Although corrupted. Let's see here. That almost looks like I got Raiden going on here. Let's get some of this hat on the go. Maybe I can back this out a little bit too. That should be good, I think. Okay. Let's see if we get that out there. Maybe there. Give him the sorting hat. Styles. Yeah. I think often when you see an illustration of Gandalf, you see him most likely carrying a staff, or in a lot of cases smoking a pipe, as if he was just having a conversation with, what was the name of that character? Tom Bombadil. Anyway, I'm not going to draw him with a pipe. I'm not really going to be spending that much time on this. Let's go for a longer beard here, though. mustache sort of flow into it a little bit, and maybe his hair just a little wavy. Bring some of that off his forehead a little bit too. Some people didn't like the rings of power. And as I said, I read the Silmarillion, and it was tough enough to get through. I didn't mind it. It was much easier to sit through those 2 seasons of that than read the book, from what I can recall. Okay. Now, for fun, I'm going to smudge this up a little bit. Put a little bit of water. Actually, before I do that, let's see if I can give his eyes a little bit of direction here. And we'll darken those in a little bit too. Now, the thing about these movies, I fear that at some point somebody's going to get this idea that perhaps they should redo them. Now, is it possible that they could do it better than Peter Jackson? Possibly. Is it possible that they could find actors that would do better with the characters? It's possible, I suppose. Is that what I want, though? So, incredible investment was made to make these movies. And much like I showed you with the books, they did a lot of real-world set building. And practical is what I think is the term that you might hear people use. They built sets that were real places. And they filmed in real places. Now, there was a lot of computer graphics being used, and they were state of the art for their time. But a lot of things were practical. Like they built castle walls. Anyway, I could ramble on about that kind of stuff for a while, and if you've seen the movies, you know that it wasn't all just green screen stuff going on. They actually went out of their way to build things. Some things more practical, budget restricting wise, where, because it was only going to be on film for a couple of moments. Yeah, there were certain things that they just let be in the computer. But for their time, though, remarkable. And I think, honestly, it still holds up to this day. Kind of like if you've sat through Jurassic Park and you think, well, what kind of technology did they have like 30 years ago compared to now, where somebody, using their computer could do almost, something comparable. Whereas at the time, Industrial Light and Magic, they were filling entire rooms pretty much. Like, they needed incredible computing power to do what they did. Anyway. I think that is going to be all I'm going to do with that. Just a little highlight of cheekbone there. Ooh, that went a little funny over there. And a bit next to the nose. Separate the hair just a little bit there. Yeah, I don't mind that so much. Clean that brush. And for the last little bit, let's just write on this. Something important to someone like me about pen and paper. And of course, you can do wondrous things with computers. You can get incredible accuracy. And if you've ever really looked at some of the computer generated or AI generated art, it's phenomenal. And you know what? You can even build in flaws. And I think that's kind of weird. Often that's the human element that you see in artwork. It's just the imperfections. Well, AI can do that as well. It can replicate flaws. And, like the twitching of an eye, or muscles for that matter. The way hair might blow in the wind a little strange. Well, it can figure that out. So we may at some point get to the point where if a remake happens and the actors that were originally involved, if their estates okay the use of their images or not, because you can find replacements if you need to, you could very well remake these movies in spectacular ways. You don't have to put stunt people at risk. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's all really that I'm going to do for now. I'll highlight a couple of things maybe here, and then just let it be in my sketchbook of rambling. So yes, if you do remember the name of the type of being that Gandalf is, feel free to comment down below. And yeah. But I do think it's something like that. It's like the mayor or whatever. somehow related to the Valinor, but not exactly. Kind of angel-like creatures, but not really. They're not elves. Anyway, well, thanks for hanging out for a little bit, and hopefully we'll get to see each other at some point in the near future again. And here we are with the Sorting Hat, the thing that sort of inspired this whole thing. Anyway, yeah, until next time.